Welcome to today's book summary. I'm excited to share with you one of the most insightful books about money and investing I've ever encountered. Today we're diving into The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Part 1, Introduction and Welcome. What makes this book special isn't complex financial formulas or get-rich-quick schemes. Instead, Housel offers something much more valuable, a deep understanding of how humans actually think and behave around money. If you've ever wondered why smart people make poor financial decisions, or why wealth doesn't necessarily bring happiness, or how ordinary people can build remarkable financial security, this book provides illuminating answers. Morgan Housel isn't your typical financial advisor. As a former columnist for the Wall Street Journal and the Motley Fool, he brings a unique perspective that combines financial knowledge with psychological insights. He understands that managing money isn't just about numbers, it's about behavior. The book is structured as 19 short stories, each exploring different aspects of our relationship with money. What I love about Housel's approach is how accessible he makes these concepts. You don't need a finance degree to understand his messages. He uses compelling stories and clear examples that anyone can relate to. Throughout our summary today, we'll explore why our personal experiences shape our financial decisions more than we realize. We'll discover why getting wealthy and staying wealthy require completely different skills. And we'll learn why reasonable financial planning might be more valuable than mathematically optimal financial planning. This book arrived at a perfect time. In a world of social media influencers promising overnight riches and complex financial products, creating confusion, Housel offers a refreshing voice of clarity and wisdom. His insights are timeless rather than trendy. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or you've been investing for decades, this book offers valuable lessons. It's not about specific investment tips that will be outdated next year. Instead, it focuses on the enduring principles of financial psychology that remain relevant regardless of market conditions. As we go through this summary, I encourage you to think about your own relationship with money. What financial behaviors do you have that might be influenced by your unique life experiences? How might your definition of success be affecting your financial decisions? These are the types of reflective questions that make The Psychology of Money so powerful. In the next parts, we'll dive deeper into Housel's most important insights, starting with why no one is crazy when it comes to money, and why luck and risk play a much bigger role in financial outcomes than most people acknowledge. Stay with me as we explore these fascinating ideas that might just change how you think about money forever. Part 2, Money Perspectives and Influences. The first profound insight from The Psychology of Money is deceptively simple. No one is crazy. When we see people making financial decisions that seem irrational to us, Housel argues that we're missing something crucial. Everyone has their own unique relationship with money, shaped by their personal experiences. Imagine someone who grew up during the Great Depression. They likely have a completely different view of saving and financial security than someone who came of age during the booming 1990s. Neither perspective is wrong. They're products of different experiences. Housel illustrates this with a powerful example. He contrasts a baby boomer who experienced spectacular stock returns throughout most of their adult life with a Japanese investor who saw their market decline for decades. These investors would develop radically different views about investing, both perfectly rational based on what they personally witnessed. This insight encourages us to be more humble about our financial opinions and more understanding of others' choices. Your financial views are not universal truths, but reflections of the specific financial era you've lived through. The second key concept Housel introduces is the enormous role of luck and risk in financial outcomes. We typically attribute success entirely to skill and failure, entirely to mistakes, but reality is far more nuanced. Bill Gates attended one of the few high schools in America with a computer terminal in 1968. Warren Buffett happened to be born in the United States, rather than a country with fewer economic opportunities. Does this diminish their achievements? Not at all. But acknowledging the role of luck creates a more complete picture. Similarly, someone might make a reasonable financial decision that ends poorly because of unpredictable events. Housel discusses how we judge financial decisions based on outcomes rather than the quality of the decision-making process, which can lead to misleading lessons. This recognition of luck's importance should make us less harsh in judging financial failures, both others and our own. It should also make us more humble about our successes and more empathetic toward those who experience setbacks despite making reasonable choices. Another fascinating concept is the asymmetric nature of financial reward. Housel notes that in many domains, being mostly right isn't enough. But in investing, you can be wrong most of the time and still succeed wildly, as long as your correct choices have enough magnitude. He shares the remarkable fact that the majority of the stock market's returns come from a tiny percentage of exceptional companies. An investor might have a portfolio where most selections underperform, but a few massive winners more than compensate for the losses. This leads to an important lesson. Don't focus on being right all the time. Instead, create systems that allow you to benefit from occasional big wins while surviving the inevitable mistakes and downturns. The path to financial success isn't about avoiding all errors. It's about positioning yourself to capture outsized returns when opportunities arise. These early insights from Housel establish a foundation for thinking differently about money. By recognizing how our personal histories shape our financial worldviews, acknowledging the role of factors outside our control, and understanding the asymmetric nature of financial returns, we begin to develop a more realistic and effective approach to handling money. Part 3. Wealth Building Principles. One of the most powerful concepts in the psychology of money is the distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Housel defines being rich as having a high income, while being wealthy means having money not spent. Wealth is about financial independence, the ability to control your time. This distinction matters enormously. We often see people with high incomes who have little saved, living paycheck to paycheck despite impressive salaries. Meanwhile, others with modest incomes but excellent saving habits gradually build substantial wealth. As Housel memorably puts it, wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not purchased, the watches not worn, and the upgrades not made. The book introduces a simple but profound formula. Wealth equals income minus spending. While obvious mathematically, the psychological implications are significant. Many people focus exclusively on increasing income, neglecting the power of managing spending. But Housel argues that controlling your spending rate might be more powerful than increasing your earning rate. Why? Because lifestyle inflation is a powerful force. As incomes rise, expenses tend to rise in tandem, leaving the savings rate unchanged. Additionally, increasing income often comes with costs, stress, longer hours, less family time. Controlling spending, by contrast, offers freedom and options without these downsides. Saving, according to Housel, isn't just about having money for future purchases. It's about buying freedom and flexibility. Each dollar saved represents a small piece of freedom, creating options that you wouldn't otherwise have. This perspective transforms saving from a sacrifice to an opportunity. Another critical wealth-building principle is the importance of reasonable over rational. Traditional economics assumes people make perfectly rational financial decisions, optimizing their returns with mathematical precision. But Housel argues that sustainable financial strategies must account for human emotion and behavior. A mathematically optimal investment approach that causes you anxiety will likely be abandoned during market turbulence. A reasonable investment strategy that lets you sleep at night, even if theoretically less efficient, is superior if you'll actually stick with it through market cycles. Housel emphasizes that the highest investment returns come from long-term consistency, not short-term intensity. The magic of compounding works only if you stay invested for years or decades. Developing a reasonable approach that you can maintain through market volatility is far more important than finding the theoretically perfect strategy. He illustrates this with the example of famed investor Fidelity, conducted a study of their most successful retail investors. The results were surprising. The best performers were either dead or had forgotten they had accounts. Their inactivity, the absence of panic selling or overconfident trading, allowed compounding to work uninterrupted. This leads to another key insight. Doing nothing is often the hardest but most rewarding investment strategy. The financial industry profits from activity, trading, adjusting, rebalancing. But for individual investors, the ability to be patient and let compound interest work its magic over decades is typically more valuable than frequent intervention. These wealth-building principles may seem simple, but their psychological implementation is challenging. They require resisting social comparison, delaying gratification, and maintaining perspective during market extremes, all difficult cognitive tasks. But the rewards of internalizing these principles are extraordinary. Genuine financial freedom and peace of mind. Part 4. Handling wealth and risk. Once you've built some wealth, a new challenge emerges: how to maintain it. Housel observes that building wealth and preserving wealth require fundamentally different skills. Getting rich often involves taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. Staying rich requires humility, fear, and paranoia. This explains why we see so many stories of people who quickly gain and lose fortunes. The aggressive mindset that helps accumulate wealth can sabotage its preservation. Housel uses the example of Jesse Livermore, a legendary investor who made and lost several fortunes throughout his life, eventually committing suicide after his final financial ruin. The key to maintaining wealth is understanding that losing all your money requires just one catastrophic mistake. As Housel writes, compounding works in both directions. Just as wealth can snowball positively through compounding returns, a single massive error can trigger a devastating downward spiral. This leads to one of the book's most practical pieces of advice: leave room for error. Housel argues that we should build financial plans with the expectation that things will go wrong. This isn't pessimism, it's pragmatism. Margin of safety takes many forms: having emergency savings, avoiding excessive debt, diversifying investments, and not stretching to the absolute limits of what financial models say you can afford. Essentially, it means acknowledging that the future will surprise you and preparing accordingly. Housel introduces the concept of financial fire extinguishers, resources that may reduce theoretical returns, but provide crucial protection when unexpected crises occur. These might include cash reserves, insurance policies, or deliberately conservative spending habits. While these safety measures might seem inefficient during normal times, they become invaluable during financial emergencies. The book also addresses our complicated relationship with risk, noting that the most dangerous risks are those that haven't happened before. We tend to prepare for the last crisis while remaining vulnerable to new threats. This is why financial history is filled with events that were considered once in a lifetime, but seem to occur every decade or so. Housel offers a counterintuitive perspective on market volatility. Rather than seeing market drops as something to avoid, he suggests viewing them as a fee rather than a fine. Market volatility is the price we pay for higher long-term returns. Those unwilling to pay this fee by enduring temporary declines miss out on the substantial long-term growth that equities provide. This reframing helps investors maintain perspective during market downturns. Instead of panic, recognizing downturns as an expected and necessary part of the investment process can help maintain the long-term focus essential for investment success. Perhaps most importantly, Housel emphasizes that financial decisions should optimize for sleep rather than returns. Money exists to provide security and comfort. If your financial strategy is technically optimal but causes anxiety and sleepless nights, it's actually suboptimal for your life as a whole. True financial success means finding the balance that allows you to benefit from market growth while maintaining your peace of mind. Part 5. The Truth About Growth and Goals. A fascinating section of The Psychology of Money explores how our relationship with money evolves throughout our lives. Housel introduces a profound concept: The idea that financial goals are often moving targets because our desires change as our circumstances change. He shares the story of how Rajat Gupta, former managing director of McKinsey, went from incredible success to disgrace through insider trading. Despite having an estimated $100 million fortune, Gupta risked everything to make relatively small additional gains. Why? Because he was surrounded by people worth billions, making his nine-figure wealth feel insufficient. This illustrates what Housel calls the never-ending treadmill of relative competition. We naturally compare ourselves to those around us, rather than evaluating our position objectively. When our reference group changes, our financial satisfaction changes regardless of our absolute wealth. Housel argues that the most important financial skill isn't knowledge of complex investment vehicles or tax codes. It's having a realistic understanding of how money affects your happiness. He suggests that getting this right requires acknowledging that enough is a powerful concept. The hardest financial skill, he writes, is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Without defining what is enough, you risk falling into an endless pursuit of more that never delivers satisfaction. This relates to the hedonic treadmill, our tendency to quickly return to baseline happiness after both positive and negative life changes. Another illuminating concept is Housel's perspective on compounding. While most financial advice focuses on compounding money through investment returns, Housel suggests that compounding applies to knowledge, relationships, and good habits as well. These non-financial forms of compounding often contribute more to overall life satisfaction than monetary growth alone. The book challenges conventional retirement planning by suggesting that many people save for a future that doesn't actually align with what they'll want in retirement. As we age, our desires and spending patterns change in ways we often fail to anticipate. Many retirees find that their actual spending needs are different from what they projected decades earlier. Housel encourages readers to think more flexibly about future financial needs. Rather than working with rigid long-term projections, he suggests creating financial systems that can adapt to changing goals and circumstances. This might mean prioritizing flexibility and optionality over maximizing returns under specific assumptions. Perhaps most importantly, the book emphasizes that reasonable financial planning should account for the role of luck. Since we cannot predict when opportunity or adversity will strike, the most robust financial strategies leave room for both unexpected setbacks and unforeseen opportunities. This section of the book ultimately reminds us that financial planning isn't just about numbers. It's about creating systems that support the life you want to live, both now and in an uncertain future. By understanding how our goals evolve and preparing for changing desires, we can develop financial approaches that remain relevant through life's many transitions. Part 6. Financial Freedom and Control. The Psychology of Money offers a fresh perspective on true financial success, defining it as the ability to control your time, rather than focusing on specific amounts or comparisons. Money, Housel suggests, is a tool for buying freedom, to choose how you spend your time, to escape financial stress, and to make decisions without monetary pressure. The book highlights the irony that many sacrifice this freedom in pursuit of more money, working long hours in stressful jobs and reducing control over the very thing money should provide. Financial independence, Housel emphasizes, isn't necessarily retirement, but having enough security to make life choices based on fulfillment, not just bills. This could mean working on your own terms or pursuing passion projects. The flexibility premium underscores the value of financial flexibility, manageable expenses, reasonable debt, and liquid savings, which traditional models often undervalue. This flexibility is crucial during change or crisis, allowing one to seize opportunities or weather hardships. As Housel states, the ability to do what you want when you want, for as long as you want, has an infinite ROI. A key insight is the difference between being rich, high income, visible consumption, and being wealthy, unspent assets providing options and reducing income dependence. Surprisingly, modest lifestyles with reasonable incomes can offer more freedom than lavish lifestyles funded by massive incomes. The example of frugal janitor Ronald Red, who amassed an $8 million fortune, illustrates this. The section also addresses social pressures driving spending, often for status rather than joy. Breaking free from these pressures significantly improves finances and satisfaction. The book encourages readers to align financial decisions with their genuine values, questioning if long hours for luxuries truly increase happiness. By defining financial success as time control, The Psychology of Money provides a framework for decisions that support a fulfilling life, not just an impressive financial statement. Part 7. Financial Wisdom in Practice. One of the most practical sections of The Psychology of Money focuses on how to translate financial wisdom into daily decisions. Housel provides clear guidelines that readers can implement regardless of their current financial situation. A cornerstone principle is what Housel calls the barbell strategy for financial planning. This approach suggests keeping the majority of your financial life extremely conservative while allowing a small portion for more aggressive pursuits. For example, this might mean having a solid emergency fund, reasonable housing costs, and diversified investments as your foundation, while allocating a small percentage to higher risk investments or entrepreneurial ventures. This barbell approach acknowledges both our need for security and our desire for growth. The conservative core ensures you can weather setbacks, while the smaller aggressive portion allows for potential upside without endangering your overall financial health. Another practical insight involves the power of automation. Housel emphasizes that good financial behaviors don't require constant willpower if they're automated. Setting up automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts removes the psychological burden of repeatedly making good decisions. As he puts it, the best financial plan is the one you'll actually follow. The book offers valuable perspective on how to think about spending. Instead of evaluating purchases based solely on price, Housel suggests considering the happiness per dollar, how much genuine satisfaction a purchase will provide relative to its cost. This often leads to surprising conclusions about which expenditures are truly worthwhile. For example, spending that buys time or reduces negative experiences, like a shorter commute, often provides more lasting satisfaction than luxury goods that quickly become normalized. Similarly, spending on experiences that create memories or strengthen relationships typically generates more happiness than material purchases of equivalent cost. Housel provides a simple but powerful budgeting framework. Aim to save a consistent percentage of income rather than a fixed dollar amount. This approach automatically adjusts your savings as your income changes and prevents lifestyle inflation from consuming every raise or bonus. The book also addresses a topic many financial guides ignore: the role of pessimism and optimism in financial planning. Housel suggests maintaining a healthy balance, pessimistic about short-term risks that require preparation, but optimistic about long-term economic growth and human ingenuity. This balanced outlook means preparing for difficulties through emergency funds and insurance, while simultaneously investing with the confidence that markets and economies will continue their long-term upward trajectory despite periodic setbacks. One of the most practical pieces of advice concerns how to handle financial windfalls. Whether from bonuses, inheritances, or investment gains, Housel recommends using these unexpected funds to create freedom rather than upgrade lifestyles. This might mean paying down debt, increasing savings, or investing in ways that produce future income. Throughout this section, Housel emphasizes that small, consistent actions compound over time more powerfully than occasional grand gestures. Regular saving, reasonable spending, and maintaining perspective during market volatility will typically outperform attempts at market timing or discovering hot investments. Perhaps most valuably, he reminds readers that financial decisions are deeply personal. What works for one person may be inappropriate for another based on goals, circumstances, and psychological makeup. The best financial strategy isn't the one that maximizes returns on paper. It's the one that works with your unique situation and temperament. Part 8. Conclusion and final thoughts. As we reach the conclusion of our journey through the psychology of money, let's reflect on the profound insights Morgan Housel has shared. This isn't just another finance book. It's a thoughtful exploration of how human psychology shapes our relationship with money. Housel's approach differs from conventional financial advice in a crucial way. Rather than focusing primarily on technical strategies or mathematical optimization, he emphasizes the behavioral and psychological aspects of financial success. This perspective acknowledges something many finance experts overlook, that managing money well requires managing ourselves well. Among the book's most powerful lessons is the importance of taking the long view. Financial decisions that seem optimal in the short term often prove disastrous over decades. Conversely, approaches that appear unimpressive in the short run can create remarkable results through consistency and compounding. Housel repeatedly emphasizes that financial well-being isn't about following complex strategies or making brilliant market predictions. Instead, it comes from relatively simple principles applied consistently over time. Spending less than you earn, investing regularly in diversified assets, avoiding catastrophic mistakes, and maintaining perspective during market extremes. The book reminds us that financial success isn't a competition with others, but a personal journey based on our unique goals and circumstances. Comparisons are not just psychologically harmful. They often lead to poor financial decisions as we attempt to match others' visible consumption rather than building genuine security. The psychology of money ultimately offers something more valuable than specific investment recommendations that might quickly become outdated. It provides a framework for thinking about money that remains relevant regardless of economic conditions or stage of life. By understanding how our histories shape our financial perspectives, recognizing the role of luck, distinguishing between being rich and being wealthy, and defining success as control over our time, we develop a healthier and more effective relationship with money. These insights can transform not just our financial decisions, but our overall well-being. Money touches virtually every aspect of modern life, and getting our relationship with it right contributes enormously to our happiness and security. If you found value in this summary, I encourage you to read the full book. Housel's clear writing and compelling examples make complex concepts accessible and engaging. The psychology of money deserves a place on any thoughtful person's bookshelf. I'd also love if you could support this channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Your engagement helps me continue creating these summaries of valuable books. If there are other finance or personal development books you'd like me to cover, please leave a comment below. Remember that financial wisdom isn't about knowing everything or making perfect decisions. It's about approaching money with humility, patience, and a clear understanding of what truly matters in your life. As Housel writes, money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control over your time. Use that insight to guide your financial journey. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.